Before Stray Kids rose to global stages, before the tours and the awards, there were three trainees huddled around a laptop, teaching themselves how to turn feelings into sound. That small room with its cheap microphone and late night echoes became the birthplace of something the industry never saw coming. Because when Changbin, and Han became 3RACHA, they weren't just making songs, they were building a new model, one that would challenge the entire system that raised them. K-pop has always been an industry of structure. Companies control everything: the sound, the style, the choreography, even the message. Idols perform what is handed to them and the machine keeps moving. But 3RACHA didn't fit into that machine. They wrote their own lyrics, produced their own demos, and shaped their stories long before they were allowed to. They worked in the shadows, sharing tracks online under a name that belonged to no label. And without realizing it, they sparked the early stages of a revolution. When Stray Kids debuted, the idea of self-producing idols was still considered unusual. Companies worried that giving artists too much freedom would lead to inconsistency or risk. But Stray Kids proved the opposite. Their honesty made their music stronger. Their vulnerability made it relatable. And their control over their own sound made the group feel alive in a way that pre-packaged concepts could never replicate. As their popularity grew, the industry began to notice something important. Fans didn't just love Stray Kids for the performances or visuals, they loved them because they created. Because every lyric, every beat, every sudden shift in emotion came directly from the members themselves. It wasn't an idea handed down, it was a story built from the inside out. That kind of authenticity changed expectations. Suddenly, fans wanted to know who wrote what. They cared about credits, about behind-the-scenes clips, about seeing the creative process instead of just the final product labels who once hid their producers behind closed doors now spotlighted them. Trainees who used to focus only on dance and vocals began learning how to compose. And groups debuting after Stray Kids spoke openly about wanting to write their own music because they watched 3RACHA do it first. This shift wasn't accidental. It happened because Stray Kids showed that creative freedom wasn't chaos, it was identity. Their sound wasn't always clean or safe, but it was theirs. And in a genre built on precision, that sense of ownership felt revolutionary. Stray Kids didn't set out to change the industry, but by fighting for their own voice, they changed what fans expect from an idol, what companies expect from a group, and what new artists expect from themselves. What made the shift even more powerful was how publicly Stray Kids carried it. They didn't hide the work. They showed the exhaustion, the doubt, the late nights where the melody wouldn't land, and the moments when a lyric finally clicked. Fans weren't just watching performances, they were witnessing creation. And that transparency became one of the strongest forces behind the producer revolution. In the past, an idol's value was judged by visuals, vocals, and variety skills. Now, creativity sits at the center. Companies began encouraging trainees to experiment with beats, to write their own stories, to shape who they wanted to become before debut. The path Stray Kids walked, a path once considered risk, became something new artists actively chased. You can see the ripple effect everywhere. The rookie groups now arrive with pre-debut mixtapes. Dance practices include moments where members talk about the meaning behind the choreography. Behind-the-scenes videos highlight songwriting sessions more than photo shoots. Even company-produced groups now speak about wanting to have a voice in their music. These changes didn't appear out of nowhere. They grew from the example Stray Kids set. Even within major labels, the mindset began to shift. Instead of thinking, what will appeal to the market, companies started asking, what story does the group want to tell? Stray Kids proved that authenticity builds stronger loyalty than any concept. When fans know that an artist means what they sing, that connection becomes unbreakable. And for the industry, that connection is priceless. It creates longevity, something most idol groups struggle to maintain. Stray Kids built theirs not through shock value or trends, but through consistency of voice. The members didn't just participate in their music, they owned it. They shaped it from the first demo to the final edit. That kind of raw involvement gave their discography something rare in K-pop: a soul. But the revolution didn't stop with sound. It expanded into how idols view themselves. For years, idols were told to be performers, not creators. Now, being a creator is part of the dream. New trainees talk about wanting to be like Chan, who leads the team with quiet strength. Like Changbin, Who treats rap like architecture, like Han, who can turn a single emotion into a full melody in one sitting. 3RACHA didn't just inspire a style, they inspired a generation of possibility. Stray Kids made it normal for idols to step into the producer's seat. They made it normal for groups to experiment. And they made it normal for fans to embrace imperfection if it came from honesty. That shift didn't just benefit Stray Kid, it reshaped the creative identity of K-pop itself. What makes the producer revolution so powerful is that it changed the definition of an idol. Before Stray Kids, the ideal idol was polished, controlled, and perfectly aligned with the company's vision. After Stray Kids, the ideal idol became someone who knows themselves, their voice, their story, their sound, and has the courage to shape it. This shift can be seen in the types of questions asked during interviews. Rookie idols now talk about composition, lyricism, personal themes, and creative direction as naturally as they talk about choreography. They speak with pride about participating in their albums. They bring notebooks to practice rooms, write drafts between schedules, and build melodies on their phones. Even the youngest trainees know that the industry now values artistic identity, not just execution. Stray Kids didn't push this change through speeches or campaigns. They pushed it through example. Every time 3RACHA produced a title track that resonated globally, it sent a message. Artists who write their own stories connect deeper. Every time a Stray Kids album charted internationally, it reminded labels that risk and authenticity can coexist. Their success didn't simply open a door, it redefined what was waiting on the other side. The most striking part of their influence is how quietly it spreads. You won't always hear idols say, "We were inspired by Stray Kids," but you can hear it in the music, in the unpredictable drops, the raw vocal layers, the emotional honesty. You can see it in the choreograph. Movements that break symmetry in favor of storytelling. You can feel it in the way new artists express themselves, unfiltered, proud, and fearless. The producer revolution also transformed the listener's role. Fans are no longer passive consumers. They're active participants in the creative world. Idols build. They engage with demos, lyric explanations, behind the scenes clips. They appreciate a cracked note if it carries emotion. They celebrate the process, not just the result. That evolution in fandom culture is just as significant as the musical change itself. At its core, the revolution isn't about Stray Kids proving they could produce. It's about them proving that idols should be allowed to. That creativity isn't a luxury, it's a lifeline. That K-pop doesn't have to choose between artistry and success. It can have both if artists are given the trust to lead. And that is the legacy Stray Kids will leave behind. Not just a discography filled with emotion and experimentation, but an entire generation of artists who now believe their voice matters. The producer revolution isn't over. It's still spreading through practice rooms, through studios, through the dreams of future idols who watch Stray Kids and realize they can create something of their own. Stray Kids didn't just change the system. They taught the system to listen.